So now that we have successfully installed our armature and set our armature gap to the appropriate setting, along with setting our flywheel cover and our rewind starter assembly, it's now time for us to install our carburetor and do a couple of other quick steps. So obviously first you're going to need to grab your carburetor along with these little studs that we had along with our carburetor when we did our disassembly, if you remember those. So you're going to need that. There's also going to be a gasket that you're going to install that should have been with your carburetor, which will go on the outside of the carburetor eventually. And then you'll also need to go ahead and grab your Torx socket, and you're going to need the size 5 from there. Okay. So what you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to go ahead and grab your carburetor, and you're basically going to line everything up so those studs go into the holes, and you're going to snug it up with first maybe use your fingers, and then go ahead and grab your torque wrench and your socket, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to want to tighten to 85 inch-pounds, and again you can confirm that over on the check chart over in the front of the shop. So I'm going to go ahead and torque that real quick and report back. So next you want to go ahead and install your gasket. So again, your gasket for your carburetor looks just like this. Okay, so this is basically just going to sit on the outside or rest on the outside of the carburetor studs. So you can kind of see how I lined it up right in there. Our next step then is going to be to line up our governor linkages. So hopefully you remember to take some pictures of that when you were disassembling. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the larger or wider, thicker linkage, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to put it into the hole, the bore that's present on top of your carburetor, and snap it into place. Okay? And you'll see what I'm talking about when you get there. Okay? And then what you're going to do after you have snapped that into place is go ahead and take that thinner wire, and again, that linkage, and you want to be very careful because it's fragile, and kind of fish it into the small hole that is next to there. Okay? So when you're done, it should look something like this. Okay, just go ahead and confirm that's what it looks like in your picture, obviously, before you reinstall. But I looked at my picture, and that's exactly what mine looked like. So our next step is going to be to torque on our air filter base and our air filter. So what you're going to want to do is grab this, the base from your cubby or your locker, and you're going to want to hold it up like this to the engine, because you're going to notice that there's a little hose that's kind of in there, and that fitting will go into the valve cover. So what you're going to want to do is just kind of line it up like so. Put that around your carburetor studs, and then feed that hose into the valve cover opening. Kind of secure that down tightly. There we go. And then you should have grabbed your air filter base baggie from when you disassembled, and you're going to want to torque these on to hold the air filter base in place to 90 inch-pounds. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of tighten these up with my fingers first. And these are also 10 mil, so I'm going to go ahead and torque these and report back with the next step. So I've just finished torquing this up to 90 inch-pounds, and once I've done that, I can go ahead and put my air filter on. Okay, so air filter looks just like this, and you're basically just going to go ahead and put this over your air filter base and tighten it up with the standard screwdriver. Okay, so it doesn't need to be torqued down to anything specific, just go ahead and go in there and tighten up with the screwdriver, remembering righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Pretty easy. And our next step of the process is going to be to go ahead and put our trim panel on, which will be the last portion of this video. There we go. Yeah, so just tighten it up till it's nice and snug. No specific torque specifications for our filter. go. So our next step, grab your trim panel and also make sure that you go ahead and look back at the pictures you took when you disassembled your engine. Remember where the red and the black wires go on your trim panel. So I'm going to go ahead and pause and take a look at my own to make sure I know what I'm doing, and I encourage you to do the same. So I went ahead and confirmed how the wires were aligned in our assembly or disassembly process, and confirmed that red was on the inside of the trim panel, so right here, and black went on the outside of the trim panel. Double check your picture to make sure that's the same. And then I went ahead and grabbed my 3 little screws, bolts that I have here to secure the trim panel. And all you're going to need for this portion is just a standard screwdriver. Again, no specific torque specifications. So go ahead, put your, oops, that's not what I wanted to do here. There we go. Go ahead and put your wires where they're supposed to be at. Okay, so I plugged the red one in, as you can see. Plugging the black one in next. Okay, so those are secure for my kill switch.